Hello, everyone. Hi, you beautiful people. Good evening. Warm good evening. This is Harleen Bagga coming to you live from Soul Therapy. As usual, we do our live session every Thursday at 7 p.m. I know we are really late today. I apologize for that. Actually, I've had a busy day, a hard day, and I was tired. I was actually thinking if I should just cancel this. But since I have promised to you, I thought I should just come and do it. I might clear my throat a lot. I'm going to probably drink a lot of water because I've been talking a lot. If I do, I do apologize in advance. If my voice is hoarse or croaky, you know why. Because it's one of those days where I've been talking non-stop. All right, so let's dive in. Uh, I am the owner and the founder of Soul Therapy. I am a multidisciplinary psychotherapist. I do have 17 years of work experience starting in a corporate career. I have worked for Philips and Microsoft in Redmond, USA. I took to psychology as an attempt in my quest to give back to society. And that is the sole reason why I am here every Thursday to talk to you, to answer your questions, to give my knowledge and share what I have with you so that we as a community can benefit. Today's questions are going to be interesting. I will try and keep it short because I am tired, but we will get into them as much as we can. The first question that I have is a very interesting one. It says, what makes people stop caring? That's a very good one, right? Why do we as a community stop caring? There are two tangents to this question. The first tangent is in a personal relationship or a professional relationship. When in a professional or personal relationship, in a one on one relationship, we stop caring because maybe our needs are met. There's a change in priorities. There is a fallout. We are hurt or pained. We experienced betrayal. Reasons could be multiple. But I would like to take this opportunity to talk about why, as a society, sometimes people stop caring. For instance, this COVID situation. Why is it in India, when we are close to 6 lakhs, we are heading towards the 7 lakh mark? Why is it that as a society we feel we are becoming more resilient? We are not caring as much. Well, here's why. There is a phenomenon called as psychic numbing, which uh, piggybacks on the idea that the more the people die, the lesser we care, which means our psychology cares and empathizes for people better in a one on one basis. There is a very popular psychologist, a famous psychologist by the name of Paul Slovic, who did a lot of research based on this in the University of Oregon. And he says that as humans, we don't deal well with numbers when it comes to empathy, which means that when we're talking about saving lives, for us, that one life is tremendously more valuable and precious to us than it is about saving multiple lives. So that means that as the problem gets bigger, the numbers get bigger. Unfortunately, the problem becomes alien to us. We try and disengage from the problem. So we try and disassociate with the problem. You know why? Because we feel we don't have the importance or the power or the influence to actually make a difference. So it comes down to our self esteem and our self worth. The moment if we as a human being are given a choice, do we want to help this one person who is needy, let's say this one child who needs us to fund her education, or this charity organization that takes care of these lakhs of people? who do you think we are going to give the money to? That one child who is in front of us. You know why? Because while we care for a selfish reason. We care to feel good about ourselves. We care to boost our self esteem. And when we feel we can make a difference in the life of that one person, we will tend to influence and be charitable towards that one person instead of an NGO or a group that we are not directly involved with. Think about this for a moment now. Uh, why is it that journalists, when they are reporting these epidemics, pandemics, an issue with great magnitude, why is it that these journalists focus on individual stories? Why do they focus on the victim's age, family, children, likes, and dislikes? It is the answer to how the human psychology works. It is to ensure that we are coupled and our care and empathy as a society is retained. If they stopped doing that, we would stop reading the news. We would stop really caring. We would become desensitized as a society. You know how difficult that would be and how bad that would be as a society? They understand that. And that is the reason that they get down to the details when reporting. And sometimes an image, have you ever heard, a picture is worth 1,000 words? Exactly. Sometimes, in the event of a tragedy, when we actually see a picture of a human being, of a person who's undergone tragedy, who's undergone loss, our empathy as a human for that person increases multifold. And when that increases as a community, we become sensitive to that pandemic, which means that we are once again anchored and tied down to the feeling of giving and caring. So, why is this important? This is very important for you to know. Let's say if you are a business owner, if you are a team owner, if you want, if you are a parent, a teacher, or coach, how do we, as a mentor, as a teacher, ensure that the people who report to us actually have this feeling of care and empathy for each other in the most genuine fashion? We use this information, this knowledge of psychology to create an environment where instead of each person becoming selfish, narcissistic, and desensitizing themselves to their own growth, we create an environment, a culture where each person is able to contribute and care for each other's growth. We make it personal. The moment it becomes personal, success follows right at its heels. So think about that the next time you are creating a culture for your team, your company, or even as a society, your community, your NGO. Think about these tips on what needs to be done. The next question that I have is, why is it so hard to forgive an ex? There are multiple reasons for this. We are talking about two different things here. One is the emotion of forgiveness. That is a different tangent. And then we're also talking about an ex, which talks about a relationship, something that existed, a bond that you shared. So, when we bring both of these together, we are creating multi layers. And when you have multi layers in a relationship, obviously decoupling from it becomes difficult. Uh, there are quite a few theories, and there's a lot of research that is done. So, let's talk about that a little bit as we move forward. The first thing first, If you are getting over your ex, or if that ex has become an ex due to a rejection, you suddenly can't stop loving that person. Obviously, you were in a relationship with your ex for multiple years. And when you were in a relationship with that ex, you formed habits together. You watched TV together, you cleaned up together, you laughed together, you had common shows to watch, common things to gripe about, common things to share and enjoy. So, obviously, getting over an ex means getting over your habits. Is it possible to get over your habits just overnight? No, it becomes an addiction. For you, getting over an ex in that moment of time when you have just let go is very similar to an addict letting go of his addiction. So you have similar symptoms that an addict has, similar withdrawal symptoms, where you want to get back. At this moment, lovers, people in a relationship, feel extreme high levels of dopamine and norepinephrine. And when you feel those hormones raging through your body, you feel physically, emotionally drained. And when you are physically and emotionally drained, you look for a rebound. That is the reason that the concept of rebound comes into picture. You either in desperation go back to your love, you are unable to get past your ex, or you find an alternate source to be able to just pacify those hormones that are raging in your body. The other thing is, right, the mistake that people do very often, is that some couples break up. And I'm not talking about uh, real soul love kind of relationships. I'm talking about more frivolous kind of relationships, right? Today's youth, especially, people break up and then join again. They commit again. They break up again. And once again, they come together. Unfortunately, when you are in this zone of on, off, you are not decoupling your chemical energies. And when you are in synergy chemically, or when you are in love, when you divorce a person after having lived with them for a long time, you have to not only decouple mentally and emotionally, but also chemically, physically. That takes effort. How do you do that? How do you prevent yourself from rebounding? Because rebounding is the most common solution and what most people go to. First things first, I want you to write down why is it that you separated from your ex. I want you to keep in mind what are the reasons that influenced you to separate from each other. That becomes as a constant reminder. Next time you feel yourself dipping into your chemicals, into your hormones, into insecurity, when you read this, this becomes your sense of logic that prevents you from taking a deep dive into that mud once again, that same mud and sludge that you are working hard to get out of. Now, there's something called as attachment theory, which we also need to keep in mind. Attachment theory, where psychology is concerned, tells us that the way we attach in a relationship is very dependent upon how we were raised as children, uh, on the attachment that we had with our caregiver. There are typically three kind of relationships as per the attachment theory. One is affectionate, second is anxiety driven, third is avoidance, right? The first one is emotional. If you have had a good childhood and you are the one of those who belong to emotionally driven, then your relationship, uh, doesn't matter professional or personal, is one that is very secure because you are driven with affection and balanced emotions. If you belong to the second bucket, which is anxiety driven, this means you are insecure about yourself. And when you are insecure about yourself, you are in constant effort to build proximity in your relationship. So you don't give the other person space. You don't give the other person privacy. You don't trust the other person. There is lack of faith in that relationship because you were raised in such an environment. And in such an environment, you become needy and demanding. The third kind of relationship is avoidance. What does that mean by avoidance? There is some of us who are raised in an environment where love to us is just a mental emotion. It's not emotional and it's definitely not physical. So we are in a relationship. We want someone who's close to us, but we don't want to be close to them in where proximity is concerned. We don't want to be latched onto them where emotions are concerned. It is more of a mental need that we have someone as backup, someone who is there to watch out for us. And that is the relationship that we look out for. So, obviously, when you are finding people, when you're finding relationships, it is important to keep this in mind and go with the attachment theory, which will lead you to a path of maybe better successes in your relationship. Also, keep in mind loneliness and nostalgia prevents us from getting over our exes. What does that mean? Obviously, right? Our memories, the last known good state in our mind is that with our ex, which means that today we are lonely, and the only thing we have to keep us going is nostalgia. If we are unable to create new memories, move on, either have a rebound affair or get busy with friends and socializing, we will go back to our ex. Why is this important? Why am I telling you all this? So that you can keep in mind, if you have made a decision to decouple and let go of your relationship, I want you to keep this in mind because there are so many cases that I am seeing right now where people have a tough time letting go. And when they have a tough time letting go, unfortunately, they keep digging that hole for themselves where they are going back or attracting the same bad relationships again and again and again, making themselves an emotional wreck. It is not good for you. You are inflicting pain and causing instability in your own life. Please don't make your life a tragedy. You can help it. Remember this, if nothing else works, I will give you only one advice, a no contact rule. Please find the courage to stay away from your ex for a minimum of 30 days. There are people who give you 45 days to 90 days, but I would like to go just for 30 days. And in those 30 days, build yourself a routine, build yourself an environment where you're creating lots of new memories. Stay away from social media. Don't stalk your ex. Don't look at your old pictures. Don't try and latch on and bring your old memories. Because the moment you bring your old memories, again, that dopamine kicks in. And once the dopamine kicks in, you are back in that hole of chemical longing. Do you see how this is a cycle? Do you see how you're causing and inflicting pain to yourself? So follow the no contact rule when it is about decoupling from a relationship. This is also true for friendships, professional relationships, where you have been betrayed, where you feel you want to go back to that person. Step away from them. And if you feel that you are not able to do that, this is go with this knowledge that I'm about to tell you, right? They are stages of getting above someone. The first stage is protest, which is what you feel. I can't do it, you say. I can't live without them. I need them. I know they were bad, but I want to get back to them. That is stage one, protest. Accept it and recognize it that it is a very natural behavior. Second is resignation and despair. Please don't be in this um, resigned to that feeling, if you want to let go of someone, if you have decided to end your relationship, accept it. Give in to that feeling. Third, accept. Fourth, that I want you to do is be indifferent to that person. Only when you are indifferent to that person will you allow yourself to grow. If you keep going back to that person's memories, to that person's thoughts, to that person's emotions, you cannot get out of that person. You are locking yourself emotionally, physically, and mentally to that person. And when you are locked with that person, how can you decouple? How can you grow? So follow that no contact rule, get away from them in social media, and know for a fact that pain and anxiety is a natural part of the process for recovery. The third question, or the third thing that I want to talk about is, this person says, I feel I'm losing myself living without human touch. This is especially important where lockdown is concerned. There is something in psychology called as skin hunger, which is what you are feeling, and which I am sure many people today are feeling. Skin hunger is a longing to be touched, not just physically, but in a social way, right? And just like normal hunger, where you feel that you're hungry, you need food immediately, just like that, skin hunger is that you want someone to hug you, you want someone to touch you, you want someone to just feel you and tell you you're all right. And when that feeling is so strong and you don't get it, you get insecure about yourself. You start questioning your relationships. You start questioning yourself because that hunger leads you to that mental instability where you feel you are undeserving. When you do and are facing that hunger, go to the first person that you see around you and just hug them. Give them a kiss. This is especially very true amongst our older people right now. People who are missing their grandchildren, people who are missing their children. They are feeling lonely sitting at home, especially in a lockdown. And this state of skin hunger can actually lead them to a lot of depression and anxiety. So, all you aged people out there, it is my request, hug each other. Um, I don't know what else to tell you. You cannot go out and hug strangers, of course, but use each other's touch to feel warm, to feel that sense of belonging and warmth. And you single people out there, don't do something stupid. I know you guys are lonely, but hold it, have faith. Relationships will get better, right? And there are a lot of ways to deal with this. um, Hug yourself when you're lonely. You can just do that. Hug yourself if you're lonely and you have no one else, or just tell yourself everything is going to be all right. I love you. All is well. You are good. Give yourself that kind of emotional warmth and touch, and hopefully that gives you that positive energy that makes you feel better about yourself. Do not make yourself starve for that touch. It is not good for you. What are the symptoms? There is uneasiness about yourself. You are upset, you are frustrated, and you feel that you are not worth it. When you start feeling that kind of uneasiness, you know what to do. The other question that I have is, does true love exist? That's a it's a very complicated question. It's a very tough question, and it's a question. It's an answer that requires probably months and months of thesis. So I will try my best to answer it, but take it with a grain of salt, right? True love is a thought or a notion in your head, right? Our internalization process always begins with thoughts. Our thoughts lead to feelings. Our feelings lead to attitudes. Our attitudes lead to behaviors, and the behaviors lead to an outcome. So, if I believe in true love, and that is what my feeling is when I look at someone who I am resonating with, who is just matching my mental frequency, my physical frequency, who is completing my sentences, who knows how to touch me, feel me, talk to me the way I really want, then to you that person becomes your soulmate, that person becomes your true love. So really it is your perception of what love is. Now where neuroscience and psychology is concerned, um, I would like to give you some information here. Science says there are multiple scales in how we determine whether we believe in destiny or we believe in that we are those people who like to work in our relationships. I actually have this quiz, uh, these multiple questions that I think you should answer, because once you answer you will know which team you belong to. Are you the kind of person who believes in destiny? Are you the kind of person who believes in true love? Are you the kind of person who believes that soulmates exist? So I have a quiz that you can answer. I will not be able to share it here because I'm going live both on YouTube and Facebook. But please come to my Facebook page where I am going to share both these quizzes. And once you answer them, you will know for yourself where your psychology is. Are you a true love kind of a person? Or are you the person that belongs to the second camp, which is a person who fights for his or her own relationships, a person who likes to uh, make that relationship work? It's not about destiny, it's about belief, and it's about making that relationship work. So once this is over, go ahead, give that quiz, and find out who you are. This tells you about your level of compatibility. The quizzes will tell you about how compatible you are. What is your first impression? So some of us like to work through our problems, while the other people believe in first impressions, if that was not already obvious. These theories are called as implicit theories of relationships. Now, together, these two scales can tell you how to approach relationships and what you need to do to figure out how to deal with it. Let's quickly talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both, right? People who believe in soulmate and destiny, their relationships can quickly become toxic. You know why? Because they believe it is their destiny. They believe that the person that they are married to or the person that they are going around with is their destiny. And if it is their destiny, then doesn't matter if that relationship is not good, if you are not being treated well, if there is hurt in that relationship, if there is pain in that relationship, you are willing to absorb all of that hurt, pain, conflict, because you believe it is your destiny. So, what you are unfortunately doing is allowing that person to hurt you further. You are allowing that person to harm you because you believe it is your destiny. That is so sad, really, right? You are giving the control of your life, your happiness, your emotions to someone else just because you feel it is your destiny. The other thing is the other camp is the relationship where we work at it. The people who believe that they work at it, they love conflict, they love to create problems for each other, because they believe that when there are problems in a relationship, when there are issues in a relationship, and they fight for each other to hold on to each other, their relationship becomes powerful. Their relationship becomes true and honest. That is the second kind of camp that we're talking about. There is obviously the third camp, which is an overlap of the two, which is really where most emotional and mature relationships need to be. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So I would urge you, all the people watching this video today, and those who watch the repeat telecast and the recording, to please go to my Facebook page, do that quiz, figure out the kind of person you are, and I will also give a brief explanation about what are the advantages and disadvantages of both the camps. Use this information to hash out problems in your relationships. Do not commit yourself to a relationship that is not healthy. Do not commit yourself to a relationship that is causing you harm, that is causing you sadness, and where you're having to maintain any relationship that requires constant maintenance. Tells you something, doesn't it? If a relationship, I am not saying it has to be perfect, but um, there has to be a point where there is peace in a relationship, where there is love in a relationship. It cannot be rocks um, and pressure and stress all the time. So keep that in mind. I really, really want you to keep that in mind and address it yourself as much as you can. One quick thing that I wanted to talk about, which I think I have forgotten, is that in this situation of COVID, right, we need to decouple ourselves from news of this pandemic. I feel, right? As a psychologist, as a psychotherapist, this is my request to you. Because when we are stressed, we want to watch news. We want to watch the news to understand what is happening, what are the cases. We feel we are giving ourselves knowledge, and when we give ourselves knowledge, we are empowering ourselves how to deal with the situation better. But the moment you give yourself knowledge, you are further stressing yourself out. You are further causing anxiety for yourself. And when once you are anxious and more stressed, what will you do? Watch news again. So you see how this is becoming a cycle? This cycle is not helpful. It is actually causing depression, anxiety, issues, things that we spoke about here. The skin hunger, emotion hunger. We're losing faith in relationships. We're losing faith in ourselves. All this is a result and consequence of this stress and loneliness and nostalgia that uh, our mind is playing on us. Do not give into mind games, please. Do not give into stress and anxiety. You want to know news? Please go read up, look about it once or twice, and that is it. Do not be obsessed with it and follow every half an hour or every 4 hours what's happening. It is my earnest request. Do this, and you will see that you yourself will decouple from stress and anxiety. And when that happens, you will flourish. You will feel happy. You will feel calm about yourself, and you will actually be able to invest in yourself and your relationships. Relationships is what you need right now to get out of this situation. Don't take your relationships for granted. Everything is dynamic, including you. Everything can change, including you. So don't take your wife, your spouse, your child, your parent for granted. Talk to them, invest in them emotionally, physically, and do the best that you can. That is all that I have to say for now. I have gone on and on. Hi, Rohit. Thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you enjoy listening, and these sessions are really making a difference to you. If I will give you 30 seconds to ask me questions if there are any. If not, I think my throat needs a break. I've been talking all day and I'm tired and I'm probably hungry, but I will still wait. If you have questions, fine. If not, we will bring this to an end. I hope you are able to assimilate all this information and make it work for yourself and your family. That's the whole idea, right? Make it work, people. More love to all of you. Thank you so much for watching. You can reach out to me on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my WhatsApp, and definitely subscribe to my YouTube, because the more love you give me, the more I can continue to do this, the more I can continue to bring for you information that will help you and that will help us create a community where we are together and strong. Thank you so much. All right. Good night, folks. Bye bye.